everyone, welcome to another episode of the Infinite Snap podcast. I'm one of your hosts, ShadowDTV. We've got Justin here as always. I'm back from holidays, so we're meant to do a live stream, but unfortunately it was Valentine's Day, so lovey-dovey, we had everyone going out for dinner. I didn't actually, but I know a lot of people were, so we thought we'd record it just after it, probably have a few less viewers on the stream because they're busy doing their thing. But we got some Valentine's Day themed bundles, so that's interesting in Marvel Snap. So we're going to talk about the bundles. We haven't spoken about bundles for a while. We're going to talk about featured and hot locations from the week, what decks we were playing. We got some huge news with some nerfs. It'd be hard if you haven't already heard about these in the Marvel Snap community. We're going to go through the nerfs though and what our thoughts are, what decks we think you can continue playing. Discard, it's officially back. I said this last week that MODOK is a mad card. Me and you, we were like the OG discard players back in the beta, so very excited to be. I feel like I haven't played discard for like 3-4 months, so feels good.
Love discard.
Yeah,
love discard decks.
It's like it was so much fun, and then we kind of got over it, and now it's back, baby. So you heard it here. Game of the Year award. So Marvel Snap won Game of the Year last year, which was an amazing achievement, and they gave us a few rewards for it. We'll go through that. Guys, the Infinite Snap Open, our first ever tournament for the podcast, is actually, as of releasing this episode, it will be happening basically almost at the same time. This will probably drop a few hours before the tournament. If you are catching it, it'll be live on the Twitch channel at ShadowDTV, and of course we'll have it uploaded to YouTube with all the matches. We've got some big names competing, so that's going to be really, really enjoyable. You'll be able to catch all that action on the Twitch channel and YouTube, and of course we will be obviously discussing it on next week's episode. If you've signed up, thank you so much. Enjoy the tournament, have a ton of fun. If you haven't, but you're going to watch the tournament, enjoy it. Justin and I are really excited to cast that one. So that's going to be really, really fun. And of course, we're going to be playing Snap Who, everyone's favorite Marvel Snap quiz. I am currently losing on 0 points. Justin's been killing it so far. So we'll see how that goes. Let's run that intro and get straight into today's show. Okay, so Justin, you've been playing a bunch of Marvel Snap, I hear.
Yeah, I've recently got a bit of spare time up my sleeve, so I've been playing a lot of Marvel Snap, and it's come at a great time because I love discard decks, and I've been smashing MODOK. So
I know, yes, we're both very excited about discard. I have also been playing a lot of MODOK. So we're going to definitely talk about that card. We spoke about it last week, our thoughts on it. We both kind of agreed that it was a pretty good card, that it was going to be fun to use. We had a few ideas, but my ideas have changed a little bit on how I'm using it. We both have a deck list that we'll go through, and they're both quite different, which is good. I like when there's multiple ways to play, the new cards that we receive. But first, let's get into the featured location that we had. We had the Sacred Timeline, which was quite an interesting one. What was your thoughts on the Sacred Timeline, Justin?
Yeah, so the Sacred Timeline, first to fill this gets a copy of their opening hand. So just some quick things to note that I found with this. When you start a game of Marvel Snap, right, you start with 3 cards, and on your first turn, you draw a card. So if you fill the Sacred Timeline, you get the 3 cards that you start with, not that 4th card.
That makes sense.
That's something that I picked up. Also, something else to note is you get a copy. It's a bit confusing. I don't know if this is how the location is intended to work, but you get a copy of the card from your opening hand, right? But if you have since buffed or nerfed that card during gameplay with on-reveal abilities or whatnot, the copy of the card that you get once you fill the Sacred Timeline has those buffs or nerfs. So, for instance, let's go with Mr. Negative, right? Mr. Negative, you're playing Mr. Negative deck, you have an Iron Man. Iron Man starts in your hand at the start of the game as a 5 cost, 0 power. And then Sorry, that's not going to work. I need to think of something else.
No, it does. You play Mr. Negative, and it would swap.
Yeah, but he flips them in the deck, not your hand. All right, let's think. It's
very simple ones. It's like
it's very simple. Let's say like Black Panther. Right?
Yeah, that's right.
You play Black Panther. He doubles his power once you play him. And then the Sacred Timeline, if you fill it first, that'll copy the Black Panther to your hand if you started in your opening hand. As a 5 cost, 18 power, whatever, 16 power.
So the thing, I definitely don't think this is how the location is meant to behave, because that's not what the wording says. It says first to fill this gets a copy of their opening hand. So I'd assume it's the cards as they are when you have the opening hand. Like I
don't know, because like if the card, just say you're playing on the location that says add a copy of this card to your hand, right? You play the card down. A solid thing is like a Carnage or event, and you play the card down. It does the on reveal ability, then it adds a copy of that card with those buffs back to your hand. That's why I feel like it maybe is as intended, because you are getting a copy of your opening hand.
I mean,
that's just how the cards are now.
So it's just the wording.
Buffs.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but I feel like when you play the card at a location, it does its ability, then it copies. Whereas this is like, I guess this is doing the same thing. It's copying the opening hand, but it's not copying the specific card. Like, you're not playing the card there, it gets copied. This is copying your opening hand, which wouldn't have the buffs. Because I don't know. I feel like it by the wording, I wouldn't expect it to like have the buffs, because you've buffed them without this effect. Like, this effect has nothing to do with those cards. Maybe that is how it's intended to work, but I feel like the wording is just not great. It would have to say something to like really make sense. Would have to say something like, first to fill this gets a copy of the cards from their opening hand. But even then, it's the same thing.
It's
Copy
kind
of their opening
thing.
hand. Yeah, I feel like there's just so many locations like this where in brackets they could just have with buffs. Like with changes, like
changes,
or in brackets, however the card currently is, like just so
something
it clarifies.
Along those lines, it would make it a bit clearer.
Because you're right, people started noticing like, oh, if I buff this card and then fill it, I get all those cards with those buffs. The other thing that makes this location hard is if you don't actually take note of the 3 cards you started with, there's no like log to actually see what cards have been played, what cards you had in your hand. So you don't actually know. Like, it's hard to actually pinpoint what cards you had.
I think
if you're not paying attention,
they do need to implement some kind of a log, especially playing discard again this season. It's like, especially if I'm playing like a Hala MODOK deck.
Yes.
Like with Hala, I can't remember what I've... It's completely my fault, but like I just can't remember sometimes what cards I've discarded, and it would be great just to pull up a log and say, oh yeah, I discarded this and this.
That's right. So I know there is now a deck tracker if you're playing on PC that will track all those things for you. Very similar to like things that like games like Hearthstone have, but Hearthstone even then still has a log of the cards played and the abilities activated, whereas Marvel Snap doesn't. It has been something that's been asked for. It's just like a quality of life thing, because you're right. I go to play Hala on turn 6 and I'm like scratching my head like, how much power am I about to actually get? Like, I'm losing 2 locations. Am I going to get enough power to win them even if the cards go in the right spot? But yes, so that's one thing with discard. This location kind of, I guess it like magnified that issue that you need to remember what cards you have in your hand, what cards were played. But again, that can also come into like the strategy. Like maybe Marvel Snap want you to remember those things yourself.
Yeah.
Like trading card games in person, a lot of those games, you have to remember these things, or you have to write notes, which is, I guess, a similar thing that we're doing with discard, writing down or trying to memorize what cards we discarded for sure.
Yeah, that's right. But going back to the location, it's one of those locations where it's fine. I didn't really, those 48 hours, I didn't really think that it affected me at all, having the Sacred Timeline pop up. It didn't. I can't particularly think of a game where this particular location swung the game in me or my opponent's favor off the top of my head. Like, it wasn't. I don't think it's a massive deal. Obviously, I've been playing a MODOK deck, so if I can fill my hand and have like a Morbius on the board or something, then like MODOK discarding extra cards gives my Morbius extra power, which is like great. But then again, I'm not I wasn't playing specifically for this location because you still have to win another 2 locations, right? So it's not the be all or end all.
Yes.
But I think it's a fun location to have in the game. It's good.
I actually had fun with this location with the MODOK deck because I play Apocalypse.
Yeah.
So it was fun that I could like double my Apocalypse, MODOK my whole hand, Morbius gets a bunch of buffs. I would have 2 Apocalypse in hand, and then I could usually play one and let my Dracula take like Chavez or the other one. So doing that sort of stuff was quite fun. But yes, like you said, a lot of the time you're playing like not the strongest cards here to try and fill it. So you still need to have a way to win the other 2 locations. I found if I focused on this location too much too early, I would end up losing that location sometimes.
And then you're giving your opponent a free location for I'd say little benefit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, cool location. Happy to have it in the game. Didn't really wasn't like super impactful in my game.
Didn't break the game.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
And then as the hot location on Sunday, we had Washington, D.C. This one's fun one. I mean, obvious ones with this is like Patriot decks.
Yeah.
Cards that don't have abilities. Washington, D.C. helps that immensely. Did you see any other interesting decks with this location?
It was just Patriot, man.
Yeah.
So cards here with no abilities have +3 power at Washington, D.C. And I just came up against a whole lot of Patriot decks. And then I thought, you know what? I haven't played Patriot in like 3 seasons. Let me jump back to it for a little bit. So for the day, jump back to my Patriot deck. Worked like a treat.
The Ultron play.
Good.
The Ultron play.
Ultron play.
So good with
Never
this.
gets old.
I think I think it's a fine location, but I find it interesting the dynamic in Marvel Snap where the way to counter a good deck is just play that good deck. Like it's not often that we're building, like of course that we do build decks to counter, but then it becomes, okay, I'm countering the Patriot decks, but then when I don't encounter the Patriot deck, I'm probably not going to win. So you're better off just play the deck that everyone's playing, and you know, if you're a better player than them, you should be able to churn out more wins than your opponent. I think
I did see maybe a couple of broods being played at Washington DC, and what comes along with that is like Silver Surfer deck, but not many because of the obvious nerf that we've had. But we can get into that later.
We should have started.
Yeah.
But like you said, but even Brood, like you can play Brood in Patriot, like it still works.
Yeah, it still works.
If you don't hit Ultron, you can still do that. But yeah, Silver Surfer, of course. I mean, for 24 hours, didn't bother me. But yeah, it's just one of those things where everyone's going to kind of play a similar deck for the day. Hopefully that doesn't ruin your day playing Marvel Snap. Of course, for newer players, it can be hard when they're missing cards. But, you know, for anyone that's finished Pool 3, they probably had no issues with this location. They pulled out their Patriot, pulled out Mystique, Ultron, and they were ready to go.
That's all you need.
That's it. Okay. So that was the featured and hot locations. How about we get into the huge nerfs from the week, because they're pretty important ones. They came out kind of just after we recorded last week's episode. So, of course, they are Zabu and Silver Surfer. Justin, do you want to talk about Zabu while I bring those cards up?
Yeah, sure. So Zabu was obviously the season pass card for last season. Zabu was a 3-cost, 2-power card, and his ability was ongoing. Your 4-cost cards now cost 2 less to a minimum of 1, and he has been nerfed. So now Zabu is a 2-cost, 2-power card, and his ability is now ongoing. Your 4-cost cards cost 1 less to a minimum of 1. So, you know, we're going from a game where you would be playing Zabu on turn 3, and then you would immediately be able to play 2 4-cost cards on turn 4. And we're changing that, and then 3 2-cost cards on turn 6, which was crazy. There was some crazy synergies with Spider-Man and Absorbing Man. I used to use that a lot, where on turn 5 you would use Spider-Man, then copy Spider-Man's ability with Absorbing Man, locking your opponent out of 2 locations for turn 6.
It was just just an auto win. It was like auto retreat. So many games.
It's good, but it kind of like every time your opponent sees that, they just retreat. So it was kind of pointless. You're only getting 1 cube. But now we're going to a game where you can play Zabu on turn 2, right? And your 4-cost cards now cost 3 in a normal game. And so you can now play a 4-cost card on turn 3, a turn earlier than you would have. And now on turn 6, you can only play 2 4-cost cards because they'll cost 3 each. So I don't think it's a bad change. It obviously is a bit of a nerf, but it's gotten rid of some crazy abilities that could have happened before, now can't happen. But I still think Zabu is a strong card.
A bit of a nerf is a bit of a stretch. I think it's a huge nerf. But yes, it is still... I don't think they killed the card, like you said. Like, it's still... You're still cheating out your cards earlier. You're getting a 3 cost on turn 3, two 3 costs on turn 6... Sorry, 2 4 costs on turn 6, and a 4 cost on turn 3. So you're playing cards earlier. If you've got 1s and 2 cost cards as well, you're sprinkling them in. So
Filling the curve,
yeah, and I've said this multiple times. Cards that let you get cards out earlier are generally going to be really good, as making Zabu get cards out, like, you were literally getting them out 2 turns earlier than you would have, which was like kind of crazy. Like, well, not earlier, you were getting 2 of them out on turn 4, which is just nuts. Like, it's like, imagine you're basically playing 8 powers worth on turn 4. And then on turn 6, you were playing 12 powers worth of cards. Sorry, 12 energy worth of cards on turn 6. That is, like, getting your head around it, it's insane.
It was insane.
It's like Mr. Negative level of insane.
Yeah, but in saying that, I feel like Zabu has gone from a broken card, right? Because let's be honest, Zabu and Silver Surfer, they were defining the meta.
Yes.
The top decks had either one or the other in them. It's gone from a broken card now to, I would still say, a good card.
Yes, I agree that it is still a good card. Very much so. It's just not disgustingly broken. So it is definitely a good change. I think the fact that when a card makes so many bad cards playable, like, we think about all the 4-cost cards we all of a sudden played in Zabu that we never even would have thought to play. I mean, Spider-Man did not see much play. It was played, but didn't see much play. You had cards like Crossbones. Who would have thought we were playing Crossbones in like 2023 of Marvel Snap, you know? There was just so many cards that I looked at. Omega Red became playable without, like, you know, having a special featured location to abuse it. They all just became usable cards, which is a good thing. We want lots of cards to be playable. But when one card all of a sudden makes all of these cards good, that kind of tells you how powerful it is, I think, without even understanding the stats. And then we obviously saw how it happened, how Zabu, like... I played a few battle games before the nerf, and it was basically who gets Zabu out first wins, or if I chose to play a different deck and not play Zabu, Zabu just won. So it was...
I played a game with you, remember?
Yeah.
And it's when MODOK just came out after our last podcast, and we were both keen to try MODOK, and I didn't change my deck, so I played my Zabu deck and just absolutely obliterated you because, like, a deck can't compete with Zabu if, like, they don't have their own Zabu or some kind of way to cheat out heaps of cards at, like, a cheaper cost.
That's right. And the good news is we were actually going to run the Infinite Snap tournament last week right before the nerfs, and I'm glad we didn't, because I feel like it's going to be a much more open meta for the tournament, whereas I honestly think last week's tournament would have just been Zabu, Surfer.
Oh, 100%. That would have
been the whole meta.
If you asked me last week what were the top meta decks, I would 100% say something with Zabu and Surfer, and the top, like, 10 decks would have those 2 cards sprinkled throughout them. Like, you can make so many decks with those 2 cards, right?
Yes.
But now, if you ask me, like, what the top deck is, I actually don't know. I know that I can list some good decks, but I don't know what the number 1 deck would be right now. I don't think there is one. You know what I mean? Just because of these 2 nerfs, it's great. It's really good for the game.
We'll take a look at the we'll take a look at what Marvel Snap Zone's tier list is. Obviously, it's going to be quite fresh because of the changes. But maybe if we have time at the end of the episode, we'll have a look at that. So that's Zabu. I don't think anyone's complaining about the changes. People seem to be pretty happy with how the meta is now. It's a bit more open. There's more decks. It's good for us running the Infinite Snap Open tournament. People will be able to... For this first tournament, we're going to allow all cards, so people will be able to play what they want, have fun, but not be like, you know, they can play a meta deck, but it's not going to lose to Zabu every time.
Yeah. I will say, though, that one of the issues that people are talking about is Zabu is a season pass card, same as Silver Surfer.
Yes.
And we as consumers are paying for the season pass for this card, and it's a great card, right? Or as the season opened, it was a great card, and people were like, "Oh man, this is the meta right now. I'm buying that card. This is going to be an awesome season. I'm going to dominate whatever." They put in the $15 Australian dollars, whatever it is in your country, and now as soon as the season ends, it's like gets a big nerf, and people are kind of like, I paid that money for that card.
Yeah.
And you're getting me to play your game, get this great card, give you money, and now you're nerfing the card that I essentially spent that money for. So people are a little bit, I wouldn't say upset, but kind of just asking the question, are Second Dinner putting out these overpowered cards to get players to buy the season pass? Because as we see now in MODOK, I would say that not everyone is saying I need MODOK, and
Yeah.
I'd say that I would have no idea, but I would say that maybe not as many people have bought this season pass for that exact reason, is because they don't see that they need that card.
I think it's a trial and error thing with what is going to make people buy the season pass. In my opinion, and just you and I both know from other trading card games, the way to sell the newest thing is to make it the best.
Yep.
You and I know that from it's basically every card game. If there's a brand new set and there's nothing in it that's going to change the meta, why bother buying it?
The difference here is they're nerfing that card instead of bringing out
something that beats it.
I'm just going to Pokemon, right? When we were playing Mew, right, and Mew was defining the meta, it was great, but they didn't nerf Mew. They just made a card or made a set that would counter Mew kind of thing.
Yeah, just power creep. Just make the next thing so much better that you don't care about the old thing anymore.
That's right.
I get what you're saying.
This kind of feels a bit worse.
It's a change because you've purchased something now. There's not something better than it because of, they just made better things. It's better because there's other better things because they made this worse. Correct. Do you think, so obviously when you sign up for the game, you obviously look at all the terms and conditions. So it's not like these are things that they, it's not like they're dishonest in that cards will be buffed and nerfed. Do you think when you purchase a season pass card like this, or even with tokens, for instance, there should be a warning like this card is subject to change?
No.
No, you just think everyone should just know that that's the case?
It's a digital card game. Everyone knows that the cards may change, whether it's a season pass card or...
Does everyone know that?
Well, they should.
If you're a brand new player to the game and it doesn't explicitly tell you, hey, some of these cards that you pay money for might change, they don't sit there and read through the terms and conditions. And let's be honest, how many people actually did when they signed up for the game?
That's true.
I know it sounds silly. Every time you get a new card, it says, this card is subject to change. But I mean, I guess it would soften the blow when the card does change. It'd be like, well, we did warn you that this is possible, because you can't have a digital game like this and we don't have changes to cards. Imagine if Zabu stayed that way for the history of Marvel Snap. This game would have people would have been, there was big Marvel Snap content creators that were like, I'm just going to play battle mode until they nerf these cards because the ladder is unplayable. It's just Zabu or just Zabu every game. Why would you want to sit there and watch a streamer versus Zabu decks for 4 hours a day?
Yeah, apparently people boycotted the ladder because of that specific reason. They just played battle mode when battle mode came out. Look, I think there could be a warning. I don't think it should pop up every time you buy a season pass or buy a new card, because that'll just...
The first time.
And if it's just the first time, fine, because that'll be extremely annoying.
You can tick, don't show this again.
Yeah, look, I just brought up that people are talking about it, but I think I'm fine with it. I don't, I spent the money, I had my fun for the month. Zabu is still an awesome card. I still have Zabu. It's not like they're taking it away from me.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely fine with the changes.
I don't know, Justin. Second Dinner, they rug pulled that $15 out from under you. They held you at ransom to spend that $15 on Zabu.
That's all right.
No, of course I'm joking. I think once you've bought a season pass, maybe you get stung the first time, Silver Surfer, the second time with Zabu. I think from now on, I think you're going to get the picture that if something's broken, it doesn't matter if you paid for it with tokens. They're going to nerf it. They're going to buff things. It's just how the game is. And If you don't like it, I guess you just play a different game. That's really the only solution. Or just don't buy the season pass. I don't know.
Yeah, you can just not buy the season pass, but it's going
That's
to
right.
happen. You know, it's the same thing if you spend collector's tokens to buy cards. Like
Yeah.
they're subject to change. It's like it is what it is.
That's right. Like we've discussed this. You could buy that Series 5 card and then they announce a week later, oh, next month it's going to be a Series 4 card. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
We can't predict these things. Yeah, it's just part of a live service like Marvel Snap. Let's check out Silver Surfer. The original Silver Surfer, Justin, was a 3-cost 3 power.
3 cost 0 power.
Oh, sorry. Of course, you're right. 3 cost 0 power, and its ability was on reveal, give your other 3 cost cards plus 3 power.
Correct.
So buffing everything by 3. That was a 3 cost card, which was most of your deck generally, except maybe Sarah. So again, with the combos, you could get 3 cost cards out on turn 6 with Sarah. So you could play Silver Surfer as your last card. You were playing, you could play a Brood on turn 6. You could play a Shang-Chi and kill their 10 power plus card that they have, 9 power plus card, and then play Silver Surfer and buff everything by plus 3. It was kind of insane. You would go from like positions where you were going to lose all 3 locations to just winning all 3. Strong card. Justin, what's your thoughts on the nerf? Is the card still good? Is it still playable?
Yeah, so now Silver Surfer's a 3/2, and he gives your other 3 cost cards plus 2 power. I think it's very similar to Zabu in the fact that it is a massive change. It's gonna the whole community, I guess, now is just not playing Silver Surfer or Zabu at all from what I've seen. I feel like that's just because we've played these cards non-stop for the past 2 seasons, and now that they've been nerfed and they're not overpowered, nobody's using them because they're kind of over them. But in saying that, I feel like Silver Surfer is still a decent card. 3/2, give your other 3 cost cards plus 2 power. So it's like giving cards plus 2 power is still a good thing.
Yeah, it's still good.
It's not underpowered, I would say. If most of your board is filled with 3 cost cards, then it's still a whole lot of value. But I feel not everyone's playing these cards at the moment. But once things settle down, I think Silver Surfer will still be put into a few decks, and that Silver Surfer deck may still be up there as maybe one of the top 10 decks at the moment.
I think the problem with Silver Surfer is there's other cards that can give decent buffs. So I think of Patriot. So Patriot gives all your cards with that abilities plus 2.
Yeah.
You can buff that with things like Onslaught. You can buff that with things let's say, I guess you can buff this with Wong as well, of course, because it's on reveal. But I feel would you not be better off just playing a Patriot deck? Of course, unless Enchantress is running around, Patriot's pretty bad. I guess with Silver Surfer, it's hard to stop the ability happening. You're playing this generally on turn 6, so it's hard to predict. It's hard to block it with a Cosmo or something like that. I guess that is a benefit of Silver Surfer. But would there not be other cards that buff as good, if not better, than Silver Surfer? This is a 3 cost card. I could play a Nova on turn 1, destroy it on turn 6 for +1 to everything. This is only +2, and it's only 3 cost cards.
I don't really think any Silver Surfer is probably it's not a card that you can fit into every deck. Obviously, a deck is built around Silver Surfer. So if you're comparing this, comparing it to Nova, it's probably not really comparable because Nova.
Yeah, of course, it's a destroy deck.
Something like Nova and Killmonger can fit into a few decks.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
Silver Surfer is only a particular deck, so I'd compare it to something like a Patriot deck. Exactly like you said though, if everyone's playing Patriot, then Enchantress just comes up and absolutely kills a Patriot deck, right? Because you're more often than not you're playing Patriot on turn 3, and if you don't get on turn 3, you're playing it on turn 4. Right?
Not necessarily. You can go if you don't play Ultra on turn 6, you can go Patriot Mystique.
Yeah, Patriot Mystique. Yeah.
But yes, you're playing it on turn 3 a lot.
More likely you're playing it on turn 3. So I feel like if everyone's playing Patriot, then Enchantress will just come up. If everyone's playing Silver Surfer, it is hard to counter.
Yeah, for sure.
It's definitely hard to counter. That's why I still
Yes.
think Silver Surfer is viable.
Here's my question. Assume there's no featured locations, no Washington, D.C. hot location, just a normal day of Marvel Snap. Are you playing Patriot or are you playing a Silver Surfer deck?
I'm probably playing a Patriot deck.
Yeah, I think personally I'm playing a Patriot deck over Silver Surfer now. Before the nerf, I was definitely probably... most times I would have gone Silver Surfer.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I can agree with that.
I think the card is still playable and has a place. If we get some newer 3-cost cards that are really good, it just makes Silver Surfer better, of course. I don't think you're going to get a lot of no ability cards for Patriot. You know, they're not going to drop a Series 5 card with no ability. Maybe a card that creates cards with no abilities like Ultron. But, I mean, since Patriot's come out, we haven't really seen any cards that complement it. So maybe Silver Surfer gets better over time.
Yeah, they could add to a Patriot deck, maybe.
Of course, yeah, there's ways to, but like so far since beta, they haven't.
Yeah.
Like there's not a card that sticks out to me and you go, yeah, this goes in the Patriot deck.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, cool. So that's Silver Surfer. Some huge nerfs. I feel like it really has opened up the meta. We'll check out we'll have a quick look at the tier list later in the show. But we have to talk about our boy MODOK. Discard is back. I mean, really exciting stuff. Guys, of course, I forgot to mention that Ghost has also been released, which we'll go through after MODOK. I forgot to mention that in the notes at the start.
You're right.
But yes, so we'll definitely go through Ghost. But MODOK, we spoke about this card last week. It's a Season Pass card for the Ant-Man and Wasp Quantumania Season Pass. I forget what the actual Season Pass is called, but it is about about Quantumania. MODOK is
into the quantum realm.
Into the quantum realm, that's the one. 5 energy cost, 8 power, so already strong power as most discard cards have. On reveal, discard your hand. We discussed some ideas with this last week. Justin, why don't you take us through the deck you've been playing this week?
First of all, just want to say that the animation for MODOK is like so cool. I love it when they bring out he's got like the jetpack on the bottom of the card.
Yeah.
I love it when they bring out those kind of things. So my MODOK deck, it's similar to probably what I was thinking about last week.
Oh, cool.
It's still got that solid shell of like a discard deck.
Yep.
I've got Blade, I've got Morbius, Swarm, Colleen Wing, Mystique, Lockjaw, Lady Sif, Swordmaster, Dracula, MODOK, Apocalypse, America Chavez. So the point of this deck, I guess, is turn 1, you're generally not playing anything. Even if you have Blade in hand, you probably don't want to discard some important stuff. So you're probably not playing Blade there, but you want to play like a Morbius on turn 2, a Mystique on turn 3, a Dracula on turn 4. And then you want to have Apocalypse and Swarm in your hand, and then you want to go MODOK on turn 5, discards everything. Your Morbius and your Mystique shoot up in power. They get +2 for every card discarded, which by then they should get to like maybe 10 power each, I'd say, or thereabouts.
At least 10.
At least 10, yeah. And then on turn 6, you're pulling your Chavez. And you've got Dracula on the board. So you're playing your 0-cost Swarms, you're playing either Chavez or Apocalypse, and then your Dracula is gaining your the last card in your hand, which is either your Chavez or your Apocalypse.
And ideally,
it's a pretty solid deck.
Ideally Apocalypse, because he gets another +4. Because Dracula discards it. But it depends on the board.
It does depend on the board, but yeah, usually you leave your Apocalypse in hand. Some other ways around this, the reason why I have Lockjaw in the deck as well is because you're not always going to pull off your Morbius turn 2, Mystique turn 3.
Yes.
If you don't have that combo, then I'm trying to play Lockjaw on turn 3 in the hopes that MODOK will discard everything, including your Swarms, and then hopefully on turn 6, you can go for like your Apocalypse or Chavez. And then on the Lockjaw lane, you can put your 0-cost Swarms and they'll pull out something better. The risk is that your Lockjaw may pull out
Mystique
or
your Swarm,
which feels bad. But I found that it's like with discard, the whole thing about discard is it's not consistent, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of the cards like Swordmaster, Moon Knight, Gambit or Blade, they're discarding random cards, so it's kind of hard. MODOK brings consistency to discard because even though you may have important cards in your hand, you know that everything's going to be discarded, right?
Yes.
So on turn 5, you are either snapping or retreating. You should know by turn 5 with this particular deck. I'm saying you should know by turn 5 if you're going to win or lose.
Yeah, that's interesting.
yeah.
Like how you like MODOK, I guess, brings consistency in that you can guarantee your swarms and apocalypse get discarded.
Yeah.
Like at least at one point in the game, as long as they're in hand. Oh, guys, we will make sure that these deck lists are on the Infinite Snap Twitter. So at Infinite Snap Pod, we'll get them up there. Is that everything for your deck? Because I'll go through my MODOK deck. It's similar but different.
That's pretty much everything for the deck. I'd say like what I mean when I say on turn 5 you should know if you're going to win or lose is that hopefully you've got MODOK in hand, right? If you don't have Apocalypse or Swarm, most likely you're not going to win unless you've pulled off the Morbius and Mystique combo.
Yeah.
But if you have pulled that combo off and you've got like Dracula on the board, right? So just say I go Morbius turn 2, Mystique on turn 3, Dracula turn 4, and then MODOK on turn 5, but I don't have Apocalypse or Swarm, then
you're just losing
you're discarding everything, and you're only going to get Chavez on turn 6. If you play Chavez, your Dracula is not gaining any power because there's nothing in your hand. So
yes.
You should get a bit of a feel of the deck after you play a little bit, and definitely on turn 5 you should know if you've got a good chance to win it or if it's just going to fall flat. So I feel like it's a good deck to gain cubes. Although if you've pulled off Morbius and Mystique, then sometimes your opponent after turn 5 will retreat if you get them up to like 10 plus power. But I found that it's a pretty good deck. It's pretty consistent.
Yeah, I like the list actually. The Mystique. So I'll go through mine because it is a bit different. So I've got Morbius, same as you. Instead of the Mystique play, I'm playing Zabu. So we were just discussing like what is your use for Zabu, and I'll go through the 4-cost cards we're actually playing. But I've also got Swarm. I've got Colleen Wing to obviously get rid of the Swarm consistently. I've got Gambit. I've got Lady Sif to try and discard our Apocalypse as many times as we can. I've got Dracula in there, of course. I've got Wong. So with Wong, we can get Wong out turn 3 thanks to Zabu being played on turn 2 now. So this allows us to do things like double Gambit. So play Gambit and hit 2 cards. We can play something like Hellcow and discard 4 cards if we miss MODOK. If we don't draw MODOK, we can do things like that. Lady Sif can discard Apocalypse a bunch of times. Colleen Wing can discard a bunch of Swarm. So I feel like getting Wong out turn 4 feels bad, but getting Wong out turn 3 can be really good. I know playing Zabu on turn 2 doesn't give you a ton of power, but it can be a good substitute if we don't draw Morbius straight away. Of course, Morbius's ability, it's not an ongoing, it's not a, it always has that ability no matter if you play it on turn 6 or not. Every single card discarded gives it +2.
Morbius is ongoing.
Sorry. Morbius is ongoing, not on reveal. So,
yeah.
Sorry, that's what I meant to say. So even if you play it on turn 6, it has all the buffs from the discards during the game. It's not like the collector where you have to play the card first. So you can not draw Morbius till later, and it's completely fine. We also have Hellcow, MODOK, of course, Apocalypse, and Chavez. So it's very similar like finish as your deck, where we want MODOK, we want to discard Apocalypse, discard the Swarms, play all our Swarms in our Chavez, and then Dracula will take the Apocalypse to get a bunch of power. Morbius is still getting all those buffs. We don't have the Mystique combo, but I find if you miss that combo, it can feel kind of bad having the Mystique in your deck, I guess.
Yeah.
And of course, we're not swapping our Swarms, playing them at Lockjaw and swapping them out for better cards. So you're also missing that part of the deck. But I think the Wong Gambit combo is actually quite strong. So like turn 2 Zabu, 3 Wong, 4 Gambit, and 4-5 Gambit. People think like, oh, like they've got barely any power on the board. But I've killed a few cards. If I hit something big, it's great. And then, turn 5, 6, they're looking at my board like, wow, they've got like no power here. And then you're playing something like, MODOK. Then all of a sudden you've got your Dracula play. Sorry, usually Dracula you can get out as well because he's 3 cost. And sometimes there's even scenarios where you play MODOK on turn 6. I've had that happen before.
Yeah, that happens sometimes.
So it's like you're not always just relying on Apocalypse, Swarm, MODOK. Like if you don't want games where if you miss those 3, you just auto lose. So like your combo is Morbius and Mystique to try and achieve that. If you miss it, then it's okay. You can still try and win. And this deck kind of uses things like Gambit to try and achieve a similar thing.
Yeah.
Like there's some games where I just, like even like Patriot, things like that. If I hit their Patriot or, you hit their big card, it's just an auto win for you. But like you said, of course, similar thing sometimes with Morbius, Mystique, they retreat early. Same thing happens if Gambit hits the right cards, they may retreat early. So I'm generally similar to you. I'm snapping by turn 5. If I'm going to play MODOK that turn, I'm generally snapping because I should be winning from that point. If I'm not winning, then I should just retreat.
Yep.
So different lists. Mine's got Wong, no Lockjaw, and I guess I'm just trying to see if Zabu still has a place. So far, it's been working quite well. Haven't really had any issues. Like I said, with Wong, it gives you a bunch of options. Like Hellcow discarding 4 cards is almost as good as playing a MODOK down.
Yep.
I mean, you're getting 6 power, not 8 power, but you're basically discarding your whole hand most of the time. So yeah, there's some interesting combos in there, and I've been having fun with it. Previous to this deck, I was playing a Lockjaw discard deck, so something a bit closer to what you were playing, Justin. But I didn't have the Mystique in there now that I think about it.
Mystique can be hit or miss.
Yes,
I feel like,
but it's strong when it hits.
It's really strong when it hits, and when it doesn't hit, you're hopefully just discarding her anyway.
Yeah.
The really bad thing is just if a Lockjaw gets Mystique out, because then it's just a 0 power card.
It's just stuck there.
Yeah, it's just stuck there. But I kind of like what I wanted to bring up. I do like that you have Hellcow and Wong, and you said that can replace MODOK, only because MODOK discards everything in your hand, right, all at once. So your Swarm will just get discarded once, your Apocalypse will just get discarded once, whereas your Hellcow, it's a bit different, because if you only have a couple of cards in hand, one of them being Swarm, one of them being Apocalypse and something else, then you can discard a Swarm multiple times or Apocalypse multiple times with the Hellcow, which is pretty cool.
Yes, you're right. That is correct. You discard 2. So assuming you got 2 cards in your hand, you'll discard those 2 and then it'll trigger again. Of course, if you've got just like an Apocalypse in your hand, you only discard it once. Then the next ability happens, you discard it again. So yeah, you need to have at least 2 cards in your hand. But like you said, if you've got not a lot of cards in your hand, MODOK's only discarding everything once. So yeah, it is a good combo. And even then, like you can do Wong MODOK on turn 6 as well.
You can do Wong MODOK.
So like you can play MODOK on turn 6, discard your Apocalypse twice, discard all your Swarms. Sorry, this is assuming you don't get Swarm. You can discard your Apocalypse twice, which also works okay, but generally you're gonna like your main combo is the Chavez Apocalypse play with Dracula. So yeah, I guess it just gives you a few more options, similar to your deck. Just we've decided on different alternate win conditions.
Yeah. And that sounds like a good deck. Did you? I know last podcast you had like a Hala deck.
Yeah.
Do you think Hala MODOK has like a good place in the game right now, or? I
think it's playable, but it's the same as the old Hala deck. It's like you either win really big or you just retreat. And
I agree.
You retreat more than you win.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I was playing MODOK Hala deck, but it didn't rely on Hala.
Yeah.
But then I feel like what was happening is just that I would just never rely on Hala and just never play Hala. And at that point, you may as well just not play a Hala deck and like put other discard cards in the deck. So that's why I said the deck that I played.
Yeah, I think like you clog up the deck with things like Infernaut, Giganto, all these big cards. And then if you miss Hala, it's like, well, I just lose. Yeah,
and then if you have Hala, but you on turn 5, you're essentially... Like, just say you have, a lot of the times I would have MODOK and Hala in hand on turn 5, and I have already discarded like an Infernaut or something like that, then I'm kind of stuck in a situation where I don't do much on turn 5, or I discard Hala.
So that's the thing, and so you have to play Invisible Woman, and so that's just,
you have to play Invisible Woman,
it's clogging up your deck even more with cards that you don't need in a normal discard deck. And the thing is, nothing is funnier than seeing your Hala discarded, the animation happens, and your opponent just goes snap.
Nah. Yeah.
And you just go
every single time.
And you just go, So definitely think I I'm definitely enjoying this discard deck a lot more. More success,
Yeah.
more winnable games. But we know that going into discard that it's a lot of RNG, and Hella just it turns the RNG to 11. Like it just becomes not all RNG, and the problem is there's games where you get Hella out, but you don't bring it back. You don't bring back enough cards for it to have been worth it anyway.
Yeah, because you're scared to discard cards just in case they discard Hala.
And also,
that's my thing when I play
even
Hala.
with Invisible Woman. But you run Invisible Woman?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't running Invisible Woman, no.
Even if you are running Invisible Woman, it's like if they can, and a lot of times they just see the Invisible Woman and it's like, cool. So I just play Cosmo here and I win.
And that's it.
And that's what was happening. It was like, oh, Cosmo. And I'm like, well, these cards are now all going to do nothing. And it's like gets to turn 6, and if I play Hella somewhere else, she just brings back nothing because I haven't discarded anything. So it's very. I find it's easy to counter, and if you discard it, it just gives your opponent so much information. It's just one of those decks, and like even then, if the Infinite gets discarded, the Giganto gets discarded, your opponent knows that Hella's coming, so they can just retreat as well. Like it just, even when you're in a winning position, your opponent probably retreats, or you actually still end up losing sometimes, and that is like the worst feeling ever because it happens. It's 1 in 10 games, and you lose that 10th game. It's like, oh,
yeah, it's not a high reward deck, is what I found.
Correct, and
it's high. It's high reward, but
high risk.
Yeah, high risk. Yeah,
and I feel like it doesn't take a bunch. Like I'd rather play a deck where I can have different strategies because it is a like one trick pony. You either get Hella or you don't win the game.
Yeah.
They're your only options. Cool. So that's MODOK having fun with it. We'll see how the rest of the season plays out. But Ghost was released. I've seen some murmurings on Twitter about Ghost. We spoke about this card ongoing. So it's a 1 cost, 2 power. Ongoing, your cards are always revealed last. Their on-reveal abilities happen last. Justin, what was your initial thoughts, and what do you think about the card now?
I think we were saying stuff like with a card like Shadow King, you want Shadow King or Valkyrie, some cards like that where they affect your opponent and your power, or even cards like Shang-Chi, right? You want these abilities to happen last.
Yes.
You want your opponent to reveal first, so then your on-reveal ability can happen last. Ghost fits perfectly into those kind of decks where you want to achieve something like that. I don't know how I feel about Ghost.
How about I find a deck?
Yeah, can we
Ghost?
find a deck?
Let's actually have a look at what people's thoughts are.
My thing is I wouldn't play Ghost in a deck which has Shang-Chi specifically for that moment where I can pull off a Shang-Chi on turn 6. Like it's not. I don't think that it's worth it. I feel like Ghost would have to be played in a deck where the goal of the deck is something like, to get a Valkyrie off or to get a Shadow King off, and that is like the win condition of the deck. Then I would put Ghost in that kind of deck.
So Den has a bunch of Ghost decks here, which I'm assuming are from an article. Let's see, what do we want to see? Did you want to see a Valkyrie Ghost deck?
Yeah, we can. What are the main is that what's
seems
in
to be
those
a lot
decks?
of seems to be a lot of Thanos, like Thanos Valkyrie. There's like a hazmat deck.
Yeah.
There's like a control deck. There's like a kazoo deck as well.
Interesting.
So there's a few things. Let's take a look at this ongoing Ghost. Let's have a look if this makes any. Does this teach us anything? So, I guess you've got Quinjet, Ant-Man. Like none of these cards. I mean, Cosmo. You generally want to reveal like early. I guess, I don't really.
This is all ongoing, and
yes.
the point of Ghost here, I guess, would just be for the stones, because they're all on the reveal.
Yeah.
But then again, like, there's nothing that the stones can do really that you need them to reveal last.
Yeah,
that's what I would say. So
let me actually just find the article. That probably give us a little bit more of an idea.
Yeah, I feel like Ghost is not a card that I would buy for 6,000 tokens.
Yeah,
that is
I definitely think
that is my result.
Yeah, I definitely think at Series 5, it's yeah, it's probably so the deck relies on playing solid standalone cards in your first 4 turns, seizing priority, and then abusing the strongest. Okay, so this is interesting. So things like leech, like revealing leech first, but that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like
Your cards are always revealing last, yeah. So like, what do you want to happen last?
Yeah, like, I mean, there's Arrow, which would move the cards after they've revealed.
But that's very situational.
It's super situational.
Maybe you want them not to reveal first. Maybe you don't want your opponent to reveal at first. I don't know. I think that it fits straight into a Valkyrie deck or a Shadow King deck.
Yeah.
And in those kind of decks, I think Ghost would be great. In the majority of decks, I can't really see why I would be playing a 1 power 2 cost card specifically to have my on reveals happen last.
So this is the best example, and this is the examples that we mentioned: Shang-Chi, Enchantress, Killmonger. Like those are the main reasons. Like you want to play Killmonger after they've revealed their 1 cost. You want to play Enchantress after they've revealed their cards. Potentially, it's an ongoing and you block it. Shang-Chi, you want to reveal after they play the 9 cost plus card. So yeah, I think they're the main. They're the obvious ones. For sure.
I guess also with Ghost,
like you said, Shadow King, of course. Spider-Woman's another one.
Yeah.
So Spider-Woman you would want, Valkyrie you would want after, Hazmat you would want last as well.
Yeah.
Afflict all other cards with -1 power. So but they are all again it is very situational in that if your opponent doesn't do what you were thinking they were going to do, then it still doesn't And then there's also going to be a lot of times where you don't have priority anyway. So you would have essentially had the ability.
Yeah. I can see, however, that Ghost can also be used to counter those situations, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So I have a deck that uses Shuri, right?
Yes.
And Shuri doubles like Red Skull's ability, who then gets Taskmastered, right? Something always gets Shang-Chi'd. And maybe I put Ghost in that deck to actually counter that Shang-Chi.
Yeah.
So my opponent will reveal the Shang-Chi first, then I will get that
but the thing
60 power thing on the board.
The problem is you have to play Ghost early, so they will know that they have first priority. So they just won't play the Shang-Chi. But yes, you're right.
Yeah.
I guess it would stop them. Like if you're doing it on turn 6, it stops that I'm just going to take a gamble and see if I hit it.
Yeah.
For sure. I think it's probably like the best examples are the ones we just gave. Like Shadow King, Spider-Woman, Hazmat, Valkyrie. Of course, we saw it in a bunch of Valkyrie decks. Shang-Chi, Enchantress, Killmonger would be the cards most people have. I can definitely see it being used with like Enchantress, Shang-Chi, Killmonger for sure. I feel like Killmonger, especially if you come up against a Kazoo deck, which I mean isn't going to be as likely, but if you've got if you're expecting them to play 1 cost cards, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. I guess you counter the Ultron play.
Counter the Ultron play.
So your Killmonger always goes off last on turn 6.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I think it will have its spot in the game.
Yeah.
But I think I was saying this last podcast where I think it's something similar to Daredevil's ability, as in that it either it's like one thing happens or the other. So like one thing happens or it doesn't. So like your cards are always revealed last, right? And then if the opponent plays a Ghost, then that cancels it out.
Yes.
So the problem is that if Ghost becomes like a meta-defining card or in like a top meta deck, and then everyone's playing it, then it kind of becomes useless. That's my problem with the card.
Yeah, no, you're right. I wouldn't. I can definitely say that I wouldn't be dropping my 5k tokens or 6k tokens on this.
Yeah.
Maybe if it ends up in pool 3, like you'll have no issue getting the card. But yeah, it's not one that I'm like going after now at all.
Yeah, I don't think I'll buy it at all. I think I'll just get it once it drops into pool 3 from a cache or something.
Unless something changes in that time. But yes, I definitely agree. Cool. So that is Ghost, the new card this week. Guys, Game of the Year rewards. You guys would have all got it in your inbox. So Justin, we got a card back to thank us for Marvel Snap getting Game of the Year and a title. So that was just a nice addition. We already got some credits and stuff last year, I think it was, for the Game of the Year reward.
Yeah, we got something last year.
And so now we get the card back and a title. I mean, it's getting things is, we're never going to complain about that as Marvel Snap players. Not too much to say about that, really. It was just a nice gesture.
I mean, I have something to complain about.
Oh, here we go.
The title, right? What does it say? Game of the Year?
No, I don't think so. I think it says...
What did the title say?
Let's have a look. I'll find it. I'll find the title. I think it was something funny.
Oh, it says of the year.
Yeah, of the year. That's right.
The title is of the year.
That's right. So it's like
you
Shadow
have
DTV
your name and it says of the year.
Of the year.
I reckon that is awesome. That's great. The card back, however,
ooh, beef.
It's a standard card back, just with like a goldy yellow background instead of all of the other colors they have.
Didn't you know gold is premium?
Gold is premium, but all I wanted them to do, that's fine that they want to do that, but all they had to do to make that card back is get an existing card back and change the color, right? I really want them to add Game of the Year on the card back. That will make it so much better. Like, just add Game of the Year. Like, so it means something, because if you go so far into the future, right? You go down 3 years into Marvel Snap.
Yeah, okay.
Someone flips out this card back, and you're playing against a player who maybe isn't playing right now, and they go, "Oh yeah, cool card back. Like, what is that? I don't know."
I think that's interesting. I think it's interesting what you said. Yeah, because like I guess it doesn't actually show you what the card back was given for.
No, the card back is called Game of the Year if you click on it, but it doesn't actually state it on the card back. So I just want them to put on there Game of the Year, so that when you're using that card back and people look at it and verse you, they're like, "Oh yeah, Marvel Snap won Game of the Year." Like, that's amazing. That is awesome.
Well, there you go. I guess Justin, you can. If anyone from Second Dinner's listening, Justin would like it to say Game of the Year.
Yeah. 100%.
It's interesting because I feel like there would also be people that would say the opposite and be like, no, I don't want text on the back of my card. But I think I agree with you in that it'd be nice to actually visually see what the card back was for. I think you're still just a bit like hurt about the Zabu gold card back just being a gold version. And now we've got a gold version of this card back. Again. This is the third time and Justin's had enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm slowly coming to terms with it, but come on, Game of the Year card back could have been a little better.
Oh, okay. So Justin just wants it's funny because you're actually asking for it to be more obvious that it's of what it is, which I don't think is a bad thing at all. Like, I wouldn't call that a complaint.
Not a bad thing.
You actually want like I wouldn't be surprised if people at Second Dinner were like, well, we don't really want to make it really obvious. Look, Game of the Year. Like, we don't want to rub it in people's faces. Whereas you're the opposite. You want to have it you want to see that every time you use it.
Yeah, no, I think probably now it's not so much my argument at the moment doesn't have much traction. But like I said, in the future,
yes, you're right.
No one's going to know what that card back is.
You're definitely correct. I definitely agree.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So that's Game of the Year. We got some rewards. It was pretty cool. Thanks, Second Dinner. How about we check out some bundles, because we haven't done this in a while, and we usually take a quick look at them. So I've just got them here. So there is quite a few that have come out, but let's go through the most recent ones. Like, we obviously had the Jubilee Fireworks one for Lunar New Year. We spoke a bit about the controversy behind some of those choices for variants. We're not going to get into that again.
You should be going into the left of that, the February one. We haven't spoken about those. No, to the right of that.
Oh, so we can just look at all of them here. Yep.
Yeah, the 4 bundles for the season.
Yes, cool. I don't think they have... it's just loading. That's fine. We just get a bunch of ads this way, which is annoying.
Yeah.
Maybe we can just go through them like this.
Yeah, you can do that.
It might be... So, yes, we had the Mr. Negative one, which did include tokens.
Yes.
Which is why people wanted them. So we're getting 6,000 credits, 3,000 collector's tokens, 155 Mr. Negative boosters, like anyone cares. Title Be My Valentine, and then, of course, the avatar and the variant. So cool variant, not going to lie.
And the avatar, which is cool.
And the avatar, yeah. Is anyone playing Mr. Negative much anymore? Not really.
No, but I'm definitely aiming to get the. I mean,
The
let's be honest.
tokens.
Everyone's going for the tokens, right?
Yep.
I'm aiming to get this. I'm sitting on about 7,000 gold.
Nice.
This costs 8,000, so I'm almost there, and it's available for another week and a bit. So I think I'll get there. It's really cool. I mean,
yeah, for sure.
like comparing it to the other bundles, right? The next two bundles that we're gonna see.
Yep.
They are also bought with gold.
Yep.
But I think they're 2,000 gold each, but they don't have tokens in it. So
Yep.
everyone just wants tokens. That's when I see a bundle, I'm looking for tokens. Yeah, I'm not buying bundles just for cosmetics.
It's the only reason people are buying them at the moment. I don't think anyone's going to argue with you there.
Yeah.
We've got the Momoko Magic Bundle. I've heard a lot of people very excited about this bundle. The variant is pretty cool. Bringing, I guess, like bringing other characters into the game through variants. Like it's not like, because we discussed this, by bringing in alternate versions of characters into variants, it kind of closes the door on using them as actual cards.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. Like we've seen a lot of like variants of like alternate universes and things like that. So it does kind of close the door a little bit on things like that. But people...
This bundle's an old bundle, I think.
Is it not still currently out? No, I don't think this is out yet.
Maybe it's not out. Maybe that's coming in the future.
Yeah, this definitely has not come out yet. But again, this is just a variant. So credits, gold, variants, avatar, boosters, no tokens, which is how personally I think bundles should be. The reason I say that is because I think we've spoken about this, but I think being able to just get tokens for money, it makes it like in bundles.
Feels
it's like
more pay to win.
Well, just you might as well just let us buy tokens then.
Yeah.
Like just let me buy 3,000 tokens like once a week if I have the money, like the gold. Because how's it any different than a bundle? Whereas if it's purely cosmetic, then I'm not going to argue because purely cosmetic means that it's not affecting gameplay in any way. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree there. This one is awesome. I almost bought this bundle.
Steamy hells. This is our we're getting a bunch of Valentine's themed bundles, which is pretty cool.
That Daredevil art is insane.
Even the Electra one's really cool.
Even the Electra one, I absolutely love them.
For sure.
And you get the title saying, "Are you my soulmate?"
Yeah, it's "Are you ... my soulmate?" We've got the 2 watercolor variants for Daredevil and Electra, and we've got the avatars for them as well. So again, purely cosmetic. We're not actually getting any. We're not getting gold. We're not getting tokens. Anything. It's purely cosmetic, which is. I mean, I think it's a cool bundle. I do very much like it. And then of course we've got the Westview story bundle, which is also currently out. Again, Valentine's themed. Same thing. 2,000 gold it costs. I Love You is the title. You've got the Scarlet Witch variant and avatar, and the Vision variant and avatar. Really cool variants. The Scarlet Witch ones, I think I like the Scarlet Witch one more than the Vision one.
They're awesome variants, and I love the title for this. I Love You. It's so funny.
Spreading the Marvel Snap love in battle mode. Yeah, definitely cool variants. That Scarlet Witch one is really cool. I'm like again, for 2,000 gold, some purely cosmetic stuff. It's like you're getting value here. Buying a variant like this would probably cost 1,200 gold. So by paying 2,000 gold, you're getting a couple of extra things and the variants cheaper. Stuff like that, I'm completely all for. You're, I guess, rewarding players for purchasing variants every now and then. Like if they just buy bundles and nothing else, these bundles are like rewards. When you're giving tokens, and a lot of people will disagree with me because they want to progress and get new cards, but it's like it's just okay. So every now and then I can buy tokens. Just you might as well just let us buy a certain amount of tokens each week, directly. Even if it's like, oh, you can only buy like 3,000 tokens a week. How's that any different from a bundle every 2 weeks? But to be fair, the bundles with the tokens are extremely expensive.
With that though, I think there's one more bundle, the Deadpool bundle. It's called.
Oh yeah, I saw that. That's fine. I saw that one.
I will say though that I think they've hit the nail on the head with the costs for the bundles for this season.
Yep. Okay. That's cool.
Like you just said before, with a variant, these variants specifically, they're probably going to cost like 1,200 if you find them in store.
Yep.
This is like 2,000 gold. You get 2 variants, 2 avatars, and
Yeah.
a title. You're getting like a bit of value for what you're spending, right?
Yes.
And it feels good to buy the bundle, but it's not like, you know, it's not like overly expensive.
Yeah, like this one is actually really good value. 3,200 gold. You only get 1 variant, an avatar, 1 title, a bunch of Deadpool boosters, 291. 3,200 credits and the 1,500 collector's tokens. I mean, people are just buying that for the collector's tokens.
100%. I feel like, you know, put the tokens aside, but I feel like these bundles are really well priced this season.
No, I definitely agree with you that, they were still figuring out pricing. I think they're like looking pretty good. I think people are pretty happy so far. Like, I mean, the positively charged one is the most expensive, and again, it's just because you get the tokens.
Yeah.
Like, you take the tokens out of that, and what's the bundle? $60?
Yeah, pretty much.
You know what I mean?
I looked at this table. They've got the total value at the bottom, which is pretty cool. So, like, you're getting, with the positively charged, you're getting, like, double your value pretty much.
But see, the question is, but the thing is, like, what are we valuing tokens at?
Well, I'm assuming what you can buy them for in the shop.
But you can't buy tokens in the shop.
You can buy tokens. Can you not buy tokens in the shop?
Like collector's tokens?
Not collector's tokens.
No, you're thinking credits.
I'm thinking credits.
Yeah, no. So, like, for instance,
tokens. You can't buy tokens in the shop.
So, like,
correct.
so this is like 6. So these ones, these $29 ones, 2,000 gold, $29 US. They have a low value because they're not actually helping you progress in the game. But
correct.
That's the thing. It's like we're valuing collector's tokens and credits higher than the variants. It's just one of those things where, yeah, it's tough because obviously, like you're saying, 3,000 collector's tokens. This is really good value. That's 8,000 gold bundle. Like, that's just, if say I didn't spend all my gold on variants and I had to actually buy this with my hard-earned cash. That is so much money to potentially get 1 Series 4 card.
Yeah, I guess I look at it more from the stance that, like, you can save up your gold in game to get this.
Yeah,
like I bought the
Yes, you bought the Sunspot one,
right? And I thought, you know, they're going to come up with more bundles in the future. I'm not going to spend gold on credits. I'm just going to save it. Since then, I've been saving up my gold, which has probably been like 3-4 weeks, I reckon.
Yeah, so the issue is,
and
again,
I've got like 7,500 gold.
You're going to get it. You're going to get all this stuff without spending any money. But that whole thing of like fear of missing out,
yeah,
I can't get that. I can't get those other variants. I can't get the Deadpool bundle. So it's like, if you want all of these, and there are people who are trying to collect all the variants, you're
spending the money.
Man, it's so like, if just this month, forget season pass, you're spending like over $200 US to just get all this stuff. I know like it's a live service. You don't need to buy these things, but when you're putting like discounted credits and discounted collector's tokens in them, it's like you are getting ahead if you can afford to buy these.
Yeah, agreed.
Which I know is the case. You can buy credits already and stuff, but it's like these bundles are, I guess, they're like put in front of you. Like, they're always at the top of the store. Like, I have to scroll through like 3+ bundles to actually get down to my 50 free credits, or scroll down to see what my collector's tokens shop is today. What card is on sale?
Actually, quick mention. You know what card is in the shop for me today?
Oh no, is it Ghost?
It's Ghost.
Mine was Ghost too.
Really?
Yep.
Maybe they're doing that as like a thing.
Let me check right now, or maybe it was yesterday. It might have been yesterday at the turnaround, or was it this morning that I saw it? I'm trying to remember. No, it might have been yesterday. Sorry, I just got to give me a second. Yeah, there's Ghost. I just need to scroll through all the bundles and the Pro bundle as well. Just give me a second. It might take me a while.
Yeah. Be careful that you don't accidentally buy one
the Pro bundle.
Through.
No, I've got Thanos currently in my store.
Yeah, okay.
But yes, no, I definitely had Ghost. I reckon it was yesterday after it dropped. So no, I don't think they're doing that yet. But I definitely did have it pop up in my store.
They won't be doing that, because then you can just, actually, they may do that. I don't know.
We'll find out
if they did that.
Cool. So that is the bundles. We've been through them. Guys, the Infinite Snap Open is basically going to be starting as this episode releases. Again, if you are participating, we look forward to casting. Justin and I are going to be commentating the game. It's going to be a ton of fun. We've got prizes. It's just, man, I'm just so excited. You and I have played in card game tournaments before and things like that, and we know how much fun it is participating in them. But I've always wanted to, I guess, we do this podcast. We enjoy talking, and so casting is going to be really, really fun.
Oh man, I wish I could do both.
Yeah, maybe you could try.
I would be so keen to participate in this tournament, but having a look at it from the outside will be like something different and like really cool. I'm really keen for it. It's going to be so good.
Look, there's definitely going to be opportunities for you to participate in the tournament. We're definitely going to be running more, but I think it's going to be enjoyable to cast the first one with you. We'll always be able to say that it was the first Infinite Snap Open. We were there. So that's going to be really exciting. Guys, before we play our favorite Marvel Snap game, Snap Who, we'll have a quick look at the current meta, I guess.
Yep.
Before I get into that, if you do want to participate in any of the Infinite Snap tournaments, or you just want to be in the chat, be able to know when the streams are going live, things like that, best place to do that is the Discord. We'll have the links in the podcast description, or if you're listening and watching on YouTube, we'll have it in the description. In the Discord, Justin's in there, I'm in there. There's a bunch of people in there chatting, organizing battle mode games with each other. You can sign up for the tournament there. You can just find out when we're going live, things like that. So definitely join that. Let's have a look at the Marvel Snap meta decks. I just want to have a quick look at it. Let's take a look at average cubes. That's probably the most important thing, and we want it to be since latest patch. So this is saying that. Seems interesting. Oh, no, let's do... Oh, there's different ranges. Let's do 80 to 99. Because I feel like that is a better indication of the higher end of decks.
Yeah, agreed.
So apparently Negative Surfer is still doing quite well. Yeah, I can see that. I'm trying to find the condensed version because this is there's a lot of stuff at once. I usually have a condensed version of this. How do I condense this down? Yeah, let's check out the meta breakdowns. This is actually this is what I want. So we're looking at was this before the nerf? Yeah. So it's still as expected. Shuri has become a very strong deck. Zabu and Silver Surfer have suffered very different fates. Silver Surfer is very discreet right now. So we're looking at things like Shuri Zero being very good.
Yeah, okay.
Like Dino and Darkhawk. Lockjaw on reveal. Zabu Devil Darkhawk is still doing well. Obviously, you're getting cards out a little, not as frequently, but I can definitely see how Darkhawk Devil Dino is still a decent deck. But yeah, a lot of the Zabu decks and Silver Surfer decks have dropped down a few tiers. Some of the other variants. So yeah, it's still, like we said, still strong cards, but not super overpowered anymore. And of course, it is still early into this meta for sure. Cool.
Yeah,
So yeah, I did want to quickly check
direction, that. Yeah, keen to see which direction the meta goes
sure. And
from here after these nerfs.
Yeah, and it's not like any decks that didn't exist all of a sudden became powerful. Shuri Zero has always been a good deck. So it's just
I might check out that deck. I played that
got
for a
cards.
little.
Yeah.
I've got all of those cards, and I did play it for a little bit when I unlocked Shuri.
Yep.
But at the time, a Zabu Shuri, Zabu deck with Shuri in it was much more appealing. But now I may go back to that just Zero Shuri deck. That was a pretty good deck. Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like a pretty good deck. All right, Justin, how about we get to everyone's favorite Marvel Snap quiz, Snap Who? Do you want to let the listeners know how the game works?
All right, so if you are watching the podcast, you can see that me and Shadow have a cost and a power to our names, right? On the left-hand side, which is our cost, Shadow has a 1 because he's participated in one of these games, and I've got a 2. I've participated in 2 of these. He's got a power of 0, which means he's got 0 answers correct.
Let's go.
And out of a possible 2, and I've got 2 power out of a possible 4, right? So the way the game works is I'm giving Shadow a location. He's going to be able to see this location. He's going to describe it to you all. And then he's going to have to guess the name and the text of this location, getting 1 point for each of those correct answers. So do you want to bring up the location that I've given you?
Yes.
And describe it to us.
Okay. So we've got what looks like a fiery lava sort of environment. It reminds me a lot of Star Wars Episode 3.
Yes.
I don't know if it gives you those vibes, Justin. It looks a lot like
Definitely.
what's the planet called? I'm trying to remember.
Oh,
Oh man, this is really showing
I
our
can't remember because all I'm
lack
thinking
of
of is
Star
like
Wars.
Marvel Snap location.
Yeah, same. I'm trying to think. Oh man, I feel really silly.
I really can't
Actually
remember.
not knowing
Revenge of
what
the
this
Sith
is.
the movie.
Yeah, no, I definitely know the planet. I have a little Lego set of it here. Cool. So it is. Man, chat is going to be just like people are going to be screaming in their cars, like,
It's gonna do my head in, so I'll look it up.
"You idiots!" It's So the location, there's like mountains, like upside down mountains, like lava sort of things. There's a building in the background, like a castle looking thing. There's these weird alien demonic looking bat things with like really gross faces, like coming out of cocoons. Yeah, look. The location is very familiar.
Mustafa.
Mustafa. Yes, of course.
Mustafa.
Mustafa. So this location is not Mustafa because this is the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Both owned by Disney. Maybe we'll see a crossover at some point. So I think, like, look, this location looks very familiar, which makes me think it's an older location. I don't think it's like a newish one because I feel like I really suck with the real new locations. Then again, I also suck with the old locations. It's just really familiar. I'm just thinking red, orange. When do I see something like this? I think I know what it is. It's and only because there's lots of interactions with this location. Because I'm pretty sure Magic turns this location into Limbo, but of course Limbo can also just show up as a location. So I think this is Limbo. Oh wait, am I wrong? Hang on.
No hints.
Yeah, I know. Hang on. Let's look at the artwork. Fire. Like I don't think I've ever noticed like these alien things or the castle thing in the background. But I'm just thinking like Magic gets played and it's like fire and then the location turns into this. So I actually can't think of what else it would be. I'm not like 100% sure, but I'm going to say Limbo. And of course, the ability, thanks to Magic, which reminds me of this all the time if it's ever played. And Magic, although it doesn't get played much now, was a very popular card during the beta because its ability used to be able to play it on turn 6 and it was gross. Limbo, and there is a turn 7 this game. I'm going to lock it in because I can't actually think of anything else.
You're locking in that answer?
Yes, please tell me. I finally got one right.
The location is in fact Limbo.
Yes! Finally!
And yes, the text reads there is a turn 7 this game.
Oh.
So 2 points.
Finally. I'm actually so bad at this. So thank you. Like, I don't think it was an easy one, but it definitely wasn't a hard one.
It's like I wanted to give you a location that's
I might actually know.
recognizable by eye, but like
Yeah.
it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to know what it is because, like you
probably
said, you've never noticed these winged creatures,
No.
right? That's because the actual text is over those winged creatures. I thought that might throw you off.
Ooh, interesting. Yes, because the text would be on top of them. I think the only thing that really helped me was that it's orange fire.
The color.
That's just the color. Literally, I'm pretty sure that is basically what I'm going off. Is like the mountain, like rock thingy and fire.
Yeah,
I
good
reckon,
stuff.
yeah, I'm still
That
super.
ties us.
That actually
2-2.
does tie us up. But I feel like right now we've only done a few. I feel like as time goes on, you're really going to pull ahead because you've been pretty good at this in recent times.
I wouldn't say that. I mean, last time I got 2. Oh, you're saying before we started this.
Before we reset for 2023, you were on a bit of a roll.
I was on a roll.
Yeah.
I probably play a little bit more than you at the moment.
I think you do, and I think you're now actually like consciously looking at the locations, whereas I still don't do that. I need to like consciously. I'm too busy thinking about how to win, you know? I ain't looking at these location art. It's so bad because the artwork in this game is beautiful and here's Shadow.
Really amazing.
Shadow just completely ignoring it.
Taking it for granted.
Cool. Well, that is wraps up another episode of the Infinite Snap podcast. Thanks to everyone that's been listening, watching since the inception of the podcast. We're finally very excited to launch the Infinite Snap Open. I've been working on the visuals and like the, structuring the tournament, getting people involved. So it's been a bit of an effort. It's not going to be perfect from the start, but as time goes on, we'll refine things and we'll try and get it to be the premier, Oceania Marvel Snap tournament, which would be we're gonna say we hold that title currently because I don't think there actually is any other one at the moment. So yeah, we're just gonna claim we hold that title right now. But yeah, hopefully we can really improve it, get more people involved, grow the tournament, grow the podcast as well. So thank you guys. Like we said in previous episodes, we have been working on some ways to, I guess, have some extra bonus content for you guys. Justin and I are still working out what that is. We actually need to set aside some time to plan it and record some bonus episodes, things like that. So stay tuned for that. Guys, thank you so much. Follow us on Twitter at InfiniteSnapPod. Join the Discord. All the links are in the podcast description. Justin, any last words? Excited for the tournament?
Oh man, my last words are everyone get on the tournament.
Yeah,
Keen for it. Can't wait to do it. It is going to be amazing.
If you are listening to this, I guess, a couple of days from when it drops, you can go and check out by then the tournament will be over for that week. So you'll be able to go and check out all the matches and we'll have a result. We'll post all that sort of thing on our Twitter as well. Guys, thanks so much for hanging out and listening to another episode of Infinite Snap. See ya.
See ya.